no thank, just send. Like we're getting after it. Like we were gonna respect any opponent we had. It wasn't about that. Like we respect them. We respect any team in this league. That's what this team. It deserves your respect. Every player, every team deserves your respect. We're gonna come in with that. But yeah, we do not have the pressure. We don't. We have, just fun in front of us. Like go out there, do our best, be us, and like that's what we're gonna do.
Welcome to Red Stars Report, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the latest news and commentary on all things Chicago Red Stars. I'm your host, LT.
And I'm your co-host, Liz.
This may be a little bit of a short episode. I literally just drove all the way to Chicago from 2 states away and drove all the way back. Now here we are recording. um, yeah. So the Red Stars have played their final home match of the season, a loss to the Kansas City Current, 3-1. The club will now move on to the quarterfinals as the 8th seed in the NWSL playoffs and will play the Shield winners and powerhouse Orlando Pride on Friday, November 8th at 7 p.m. Central Time. So this match against the Current was really a tale of two halves. What were your first impressions right off the bat, Liz?
Well, just in general, like if you just look at the stats of the game, it should have been a lot closer. Just looking, if you didn't watch the game at all and you just looked at the stats on the page, you would assume that Chicago actually would have had a chance to win that game. Like we won the possession, which what? Like that doesn't happen very often. And like shots were pretty equal. Like everything was very equal. And I just think they did better with their opportunities. I think their opportunities were better just in general. And yeah, I agree. It was absolutely a tale of two halves because Kansas City, obviously, in the second half, they kind of dropped off a little bit. They weren't high pressing us as much, so we did hold on to the ball more. So there is that. Like it does, the stats are a little skewed because of that. Um, I will say overall, my favorite part of the entire thing were some of the players that we brought in as subs and the energy that they brought because you could tell that they wanted to prove something. Whatever they were fighting for, obviously they wanted to win. But like they were each kind of battling for something and they were trying to show that they deserve to be on the field. And I really liked their energy that they brought.
The first half really felt like there was a lack of urgency, a lack of energy. All three of those goals by Kansas City were kind of like mistakes, lapse of judgment, just the ball bouncing in weird places, players just not getting to where they were supposed to be. Like they weren't like usually Chicago, it feels like a lot of the goals that they give up are just absolute bangers by the other team. Like these were not bangers. These were just the midfield and the defense just not doing what they were supposed to do on certain plays. The one that kind of sticks with me, I think it was that second one where the ball was literally just sitting on the end line and two defenders were trying to like usher it out and it really should have just been cleared because then Kansas City just got possession back and immediately got it over to the other side of the goal for a goal. And it just seemed like you said, the Current just utilized their opportunities that Chicago gave them, and Chicago gave them way too many opportunities to get the ball towards the goal. And the rest of the team was not in the first half was not playing well enough to get shots on goal on the other end. Then you go to the second half and they bring in players like Chardonnay Curran and Jamise Joseph. And I feel like without Mal on the pitch, it sort of freed Allie up to sort of be that target in the center. And Shea put an absolute beautiful ball to her. And when she scored it, I tweeted that it was about as Allie Schlegel of a goal as you will get, because she put so much effort into scoring that goal. It was not just like I got the ball, I'm going to kick this towards the goal, and it's going to go in. It was like, is she going to get this? Maybe it's a heavy touch. I don't know. The keeper's coming out. I have no idea what she's about to do. And she was just like, I don't know, just the way it all played out was just like, that felt so Allie Schlegel, like the effort that she put into it. And that's one of the big things that I always um, put out there is I love effort plays. And I think effort plays are everything in all sports. And Allie Schlegel is a player that'll give you that effort. And the players who subbed in the second half, like Jamise Joseph and Chardonnay Curran, also showed that they can bring that energy to a game. And they really looked like a completely different team in that second half.
Yeah, I agree. Ali Schlegel is I'm gonna give you my body, soul, heart, all of it, all at once. I'm gonna leave it all out on the field type of player. And you love that. And I think that's why her and Shay are so wonderful. Like they kind of they work well together on the field for sure because they are both that type of player. That's how Shay always has been. And she, again, I think we've talked about this previously, where she's one of those players that you love to have on your team and you hate to play against her. And I think Ali Schlegel is definitely getting that same rep. So so there's that. But yeah, it was a great goal, great ball, great effort, everything, like just all around great. And there were opportunities like Jamise and Chardonnay that you felt like could have the ball could have bounced differently, just like it did for Kansas City, and it could have been a totally different game. And back to the play that you're talking about where we were trying to usher the ball out of bounds. Like if even if you don't clear it, just kick it out for a corner. Like what are we doing? That was the other thing. I'm like, it's right there. Like if you're falling down or because you're trying to shield and they kind of pull the chair out from under you, which is what happened to Carrie. I'm just like, just kick it, just take it out with you. Like, just it's not a big deal. Like, yes, they could have scored on that corner kick, but also we were completely out of position with that, which is what happened because then Malum was too slow at getting over to cover because she thought the ball was going to go out of bounds. It was just the timing was completely thrown off because it was the assumption that the ball was going to go out for a goal kick. And you have to make sure when you're going to do that, that the ball has enough pace to get out of bounds because if it doesn't, it's not going to work. And then something like that happens. So it was just that, again, talking about effort, Kansas City put more effort into that play, which is a small thing. Like, oh, a lot of people would just be like, oh, the ball's going to go out of bounds. Two of them went over there and there was one person and two against one. Guess what happened? So it was unfortunate, but yeah, still back to the goal. Positive, excellent. Love to see it. She tied, I believe that was Schlegel's goal, tied the club record for the season with Mal.
Yep.
So solid season so far for Allie. And obviously, we're not done yet with the playoffs, but regular season, solid regular season, as much as she's been in and out with injury.
Yeah, to be off and on the field so much. I didn't look at the total games out of the 26 that she had played. I probably should look at that. Um, but to have 7 goals and also be tied with Mal Swanson, who would have more if she wasn't in this slump right now, I'm sure. Um, like, what an achievement for a second year player and a player who really, it feels like she's becoming a leader on this team. I mean, even when she's on the bench, you can see her like standing next to Lauren, just screaming and pointing. It's like she she knows this game and she wants to be that leader. And in the post-match, they had Allie and they had Shay, and they were just a joy to have after such a brutal loss. Like those two just know how to um, sort of get past the loss and find like what needs to be said in that moment rather than just being upset over the loss. And Shay and Allie spoke so highly of each other. They spoke highly of the organization. Shay talked about the like wanting to come here and wanting to be a part of this.
I just felt called to be here. I felt like I know how to help a club like rebuild, and I want to be a part of it. Like I've never come into this league like with the glamour, flashy stuff, and I really believed in what they're trying to build here, and I feel like we've done that and we've showed that. To make the playoffs this year was a huge goal of ours, and obviously we want to be doing more. But I think we've just continued to stay the course. Like you said, there's been so many ups and downs. We've had 4-game losing streaks. We've battled some really nasty season-ending injuries, and people have had to step up that never thought they probably had to step up into those positions. So this team is resilient, and I'm just really proud to be a part of it.
And Allie was just so vocal about the help that the veterans that they brought in, like Shay, have done for the team.
That year was difficult. It just presented so many challenges, and I have so much respect for everybody that was on that team. We navigated just so many hardships together, and now being on this team and having even more younger players, honestly, like a lot of young players, a lot of new players, a lot of new veterans coming in and helping the group out. I think it feels, I don't know, I was reflecting about this the other day. I was just like, this team did that, right? Like this team that's here now, it's never going to be the same, but like this team made the freaking playoffs. We came from the bottom. We had new staff, new ownership, a lot of new players, a lot of new variables, and like this team came out of that to make the playoffs this year. I do not think that should be taken lightly. I think it's something that each and every single part of the organization like should hold pride in, from the bottom to the top, and everybody on the team, whether you played a lot of minutes or whether you played a couple minutes, like it doesn't matter. Every single player, every single person in this organization played a vital role in that. And it's a big deal. Like it is a big deal to make the NWSL playoffs. I know I'm a young buck, but I listen to my elders, right? I listen to all the people that, all their wisdom that came before us, because it's not easy, and it does not always just come. And I think, being at the Red Stars organization, knowing that last year was the only time that we hadn't made the playoffs, like that was a heavy thing to know. And I think just getting us back on that track of bringing the history of being a successful club and then moving it on with this new ownership and everything that's new about this place, like it's a big deal, and we're excited about it.
Just overall, like I was so glad that they brought them out to be the final presser of the regular season at SeatGeek, up until they changed their name. Like that's the last Red Stars sort of thing at SeatGeek, because they are two of the leaders of this club, the veteran in this league for a long time in Shay, and a player who's been here for 2 years, but is already showing those leadership qualities, where she can come to a post-match presser, face the media, and speak about this club in a way that is articulate and makes you feel good about the club's future.
Yeah, I think Allie's that type of player that you can see her being a coach. She's like a player coach on the field. And I think Shay is very similar. I think they have very similar personalities, and it's really good to see. Love that for them.
Yeah, they had like just the duo between them in that presser. They're so funny together, and you can tell that like on and off the pitch that they really enjoy each
I
other.
think Allie and I have had quite a few weeks now to continue to build chemistry and her brother.
Our brothers.
She's like obviously so humble, but she's an incredible goal scorer. I think we depend on her more than people think on the outside. She's such a big part of our build up. I know if the ball's going into her, she's holding it up, and we're gonna retain possession and just willing, like exactly the goal today. She's gonna put her body on the line. And how many times has she done that for this team this season? So it's been incredible, and I've loved playing with this girl.
The feelings are mutual, just to be clear.
Another thing that was interesting in that second half, I think we should talk about, is the move to put B. Franklin at center back and move Carrie back into the midfield. It was a move that I thought was safe timing to do, because you're down 3-0. Kansas City's obviously sitting back and aren't pressing. They're not attacking. Like, they're not putting in as much effort on the offensive side as they were in the first half. So it's the right time to experiment with B being a center back. And Lauren in the post match talked about how she's played there before. He trusts her there, and he said he played her there because it's something that they may have her do in the future.
We know B. Franklin can play back there. She hasn't done it a lot this season, but I know she can do it, and we just say, you know what, just give us a chance to look at it, because I think she's one of those players in the future. She might end up in that position. So we just say, hey, let's have a look at this. I think she can do it, and I thought she did very well.
And I think that's interesting to think about. I don't have like a full take on this because of the lack of pressure that she got from Kansas City. When it came to the breakaways, I thought she stepped to players really well on those breakaways and got the ball away from them. She had a lot of confidence in her ability to not let the players by her. But in a full match, I have no idea what that will look like, and I don't know if we'll ever see that. But it sounded like Lorne has had this in his back pocket for a while.
Yeah, I'm thinking, are we going to a 3-back next year? Like, that's all that makes me wonder is are we going to a 3-back? Yeah. I don't know.
I was like, you're not going to replace Hannah and you're not going to replace Sam. So what would the future of B. Franklin be at the center back position? So maybe it would be a 3-back.
I don't know. That's what just popped into my head, and I'm probably way wrong. I have no idea.
I don't know. It sounds interesting.
But yeah, I appreciated the change. I was looking at it from the perspective of what it did on the field. Is Carrie is much better. B is a rookie. She has done phenomenal. This is not me like at slighting her at all. Carrie is better at receiving the ball than B is from the back line and trying to progress it up the field. So swapping them made it so B was not, because it felt like Grosso was never getting the ball from the back line. It felt like it was constantly trying to get slammed into B, which then the passing lanes were shut down. So my thought was, well, if they flip them, Carrie is a little bit better under that pressure to navigate the ball out. And so it made sense to me to do that. It was interesting. All I was thinking of is all of our height is now on the back line as well. So shout out to Grant for Height FC, because that's what I thought of. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting switch. I like it. Again, what's the worst that can happen? We lose 7-0. Like, it doesn't matter. Like at that
It's the
point, it
right
didn't
time to
matter.
experiment it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could give up 100 goals. It does not matter. We were not going to get knocked out of the playoffs. The goal differential is not coming into play for anything. Does not matter. And so I liked it. I liked the movement and the change. I thought that it's interesting that he's talking about potentially using that. Now I'm very much wondering if it's going to be a three back. I don't know. I know nothing. That's the first thing that when you mentioned that that's what it made me think of, but I don't know.
My eyes were wide when he said that in the presser. I was like, this is not just a today thing. Oh,
Well, yeah, because that's
okay.
the thing. Like Anderson, you've got Anderson and Staub. Like those two are not.
I mean, unless he means he's playing her at center back for Orlando I,
Maybe they swap it. I don't know.
instead of Carey because it worked out better in the second half. But then, like I said, we have not seen B with full pressure, especially in Orlando pressure on that back line. I don't know. I have no idea what
Yeah,
that would
Barbara
look
Band
like.
is a whole different situation with Marta coming at you. Yeah, I don't know. I've got so many thoughts running through my head.
Yeah. I really like I don't know. I think she distributed well. She played really well, like over the top.
Yeah, her balls like into the box were really they
Yeah.
were very accurate,
Yeah,
in my
she
opinion.
she made one that I think it was on the right side. It was like inches
I know
away
exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
from Jamise's foot. It was such a well placed ball. If Mise's foot was 2 inches bigger, like
The
she could
camera
have at
work
least.
that they had for that play was phenomenal because they had it from the end line, so you could see the ball coming up, or they showed a replay
Oh,
of it and you
okay.
could see it. And so you could see B in the background, like kicking the ball. And I'm like, that's an excellent ball. Like,
Oh, leave it
and
to
also shout out
ESPN.
to shout out to the camera work on that. Jamise was so close to getting multiple goals in that game, just like a touch here or there. And yeah, that ball was fantastic. And it's like, okay, well, if she's going to play center back, and then we've also got Hannah Anderson, who also can play balls in phenomenally. Like, let's go. And then you've got Carrie in the midfield. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Carrie in the midfield just because of
Yeah.
pace, and she doesn't bring the physicality that B brings. But if Grosso is going to struggle at progressing the ball up the field, which has happened so far in her tenure with the Red Stars, I they need somebody that's going to be able to do that. And it's not worked out so far with B as much as it's needed. So I do agree with the swap if that is what we choose, but who knows?
Julia did get that ball to Shea for
One
that alley
time,
goal.
one time.
No, I agree with you. She isn't playing as well as I had hoped.
Yeah, I'm frustrated by what I'm seeing. Like, just again, I'm not slamming a player, but like,
Yeah.
I want her to come. She is a veteran player, a player that plays internationally, a player that knows how to play her role. And I need you when we are struggling to get the ball out of the back, you need to go demand the ball from your back line. Don't just go stand in the spot that you think you need to be in and hope that they can get you the ball. If they're struggling, you need to go back there and get it. Mal even does that sometimes, where
Yeah.
she goes back and gets the ball. And B is doing that as a rookie. I just get a little frustrated because I'm like, you need to go get the ball. If they can't get it to you, you need to make yourself more available. And that's where I get frustrated because I feel like if she becomes a better outlet, then we don't struggle as much moving the ball because she's good once she gets the ball. It's just the fact that we can't get her the ball because there's times where I feel like she goes to a spot that she's kind of told to go to, like that's where she should be, but she gets covered and then doesn't make herself more available.
I think a full off season and full preseason will do wonders for her. I think that's a lot of the story of this year so far is just the players that were added, the players that had to step up because of injuries. There's just certain moments where you can just see how blatantly obvious it is that they have not played that much together. And I think the addition in the second half of players like Jamise and Shar and even Allie and then Shay, it's like that those players, like Allie plays with the first team a lot, but those other players have probably played together in training so much more than they have the first teamers. So it's like you could see that like Chardonnay and Jamise really had like a good connection with each other because they've probably trained together more than they have with the other players that they've been surrounded by. And then obviously Chardonnay, whenever we've seen her, has been not playing right winger. She's been playing right back or right mid. So she's an interesting story throughout this entire season. But overall, I think yes, I'm looking forward to the playoffs and just to see what Chicago can do against Orlando. But I think unless they win that match, I'm more so looking at uh, the wonders of a full off season and preseason with the players who are more new to this team than others to really just connect and progress into an era of not playing like this.
And playing in random positions, like the fact that Bogalski was playing up higher on the field today. Like, okay, fine. Like, again, I thought that there were some options, but obviously he wanted Cam on the field, so that's fine. But I would have probably played somebody else, just given the fact that that's more of a not her, it's not her natural position. But I question some of the substitutions and some of our lineups and things, but if he has a plan in mind, I'm curious to see what it is. Again, it's having, just like you said, a full off season because he didn't have a full off season.
Yep.
He joined. And so there's going to be a lot of that time put in. And back to Chardonnay though, I really wanted her to get a goal just
Me
because
too. That
Casey.
revenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been so good.
I wanted it. I wanted it for her. And I felt really bad for Alyssa because those goals that were given up were just that one that hit the post and popped in. I was like, well, that was stupid. Like, it's just
Yeah.
one of those things where like I felt like that with all the goals. I'm like, well, that was stupid. Like it was just one of those where it just didn't go the way that it should. And it was just
Sure.
overall, it was just a frustrating game because it was like that probably does that happens like once out of 10 times. But I feel like that's the Red Stars luck sometimes. And we played at home and we're never that good at home.
Yeah. That's another thing is the playing at home never really goes right for us. The to go back to Cam for a second, pre-match I was telling Joe Chats when we were talking about the lineup that I was like, so Cam's probably playing forward, but I said this is probably a tactical decision to in the second half when they need to remove a defender like Natalia Kuika, that they'll probably just have the ability to move Cam there so they don't have to use an extra sub. And that's exactly what they did. Natalia left in the half. They moved Cam back to the right. So I'll just I felt very proud of myself for calling that one. Just one less sub that they had to use. But she really was playing like she was playing as a defender, even though she was supposed to be a forward. It's just, we've talked about this with other players who play out of position. They just naturally fall into their other positions that they like to play and play more often, that they just feel more comfortable. And it looked like Cam felt more comfortable dropping back when she should have been forward. And then in the second half, she cleaned it up. So it's little teeny things that should be worked out earlier and not right when we go to the playoffs. I have no idea what this playoff match is going to look like. We've played Orlando twice. We drew them once, 1-1. The goal that they scored against Chicago was an own goal. And then they lost 1-0 on that Marta insane Marta goal. So they have not like destroyed Chicago, but
And they haven't looked great. Like they look okay, but they've looked questionable.
yeah,
So I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic.
I listen. I am a very positive person. Like I'm always positive about this team. I always think very positively about the parts of the match that can help them move forward. The second half was so beneficial for them, I thought. Lauren even said in the presser about the players who had subbed in about like looking into them further, maybe even starting players that gave that energy instead of bringing them off the bench.
This is it. We have one game to win. Okay, so we have to go out there and just as coaches and everybody and say, which 11 give us the best chance to get a result from the start or play well. So you're right. So it's not about no rookies anymore. It's about who give you the best chance to get on with it. So we have to look at that and move.
So that second half, I think, did wonders for their confidence moving into the Orlando match instead of just losing 3-0 or what could have even been worse if things didn't play out the way they did in the second half of this match. And then that kind of confidence you bring into Orlando, tacked on to the loss against Washington, the loss against New York, like that they're not playing well right now. They are a very mediocre team. Before Allie's goal, the last one they had scored was in that Houston match. Like things have not been going well for them, but hopefully they can take that second half and just isolate it, bottle it up, and say, this is how we need to play. This is the kind of energy we need to play with. And they can go to Orlando and they can be the underdogs and they can have the underdog mentality. And, Allie talked about post match about how it just, they never underestimate any of the opponents that they have to play. They didn't care if they played Orlando. They didn't care if they played Gotham. They want to beat whoever they have to play against. And it happens to be that they, have Orlando coming up, who is kind of unreal this season. And I don't know how this is going to play out. I really don't know how this is going to play out. Like that Orlando is stacked. They have a fantastic coach. They have only been struggling lately because they're sitting Banda. Like
Their defensive line has looked a little questionable.
it's yeah, but it's like, but you know what they can be, you know?
But I see what they've been doing. Which they see what we've been not doing. So there's that.
Yeah,
I
I think any back line can handle the way Chicago is playing right now.
if
They
Mal can figure it out.
She can.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And that's the thing. Flip of a switch and everything can change. You look at the game, the Kansas City game, and you take that 10-minute stretch of mental lapses out, Kansas City doesn't score. 10 minutes, they gave up 3 goals. Just mistake after mistake after mistake. And you clean that 10 minutes up and it's a totally different game. And that's the thing. Like when we played Orlando, it's again, we tied when they didn't have Banda and then lost 1-0. And again, like even with Gotham, like we lost always on like in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the game, we lost. I think that we can compete when we figure it out a little bit, but there are so many times where we just don't. And I don't know why. To me, there's no rhyme or reason as to why. So hopefully on Friday, it's one of those figure it out. I do appreciate the fact that Lauren took Mal out of the game. I know a lot of people were confused and questioning it. The commentary was confused and questioning it. But
very
to
obvious.
me, it's like, again, like the game's 3-0. We're not probably going to cut down and score 4 goals against Kansas City in the second half. And we haven't scored, as you said, since Houston. And you take her out and like it makes sense. But also, as you mentioned, when Mal's not on the field, yes, Allie, it gives her a little bit more confidence to be that target. But also the players have it in their head when Mal is out there that they need to get her the ball. When Mal's not out there, there's not that sole person that they're like, oh, she's going to get us a goal. They play more as a team. And that is not me, again, saying anything negative towards Mal. It's just that there's not that big superstar player out there to do that. And so they play a little bit differently. So it's a different dynamic, and it's interesting to see the changes that occur.
Yeah, I thought it was obvious to take Mal out, especially since she's coming off of the international duty, and this is a Sunday match. The next match is Friday. That is such a short time. And then taking Natalia out was the same thing. And then eventually you go ahead and you take the other players out, like Julia Grosso and then Allie. It's like I think the subs were tactical in some ways, but I think they were less tactical and more just like this match doesn't necessarily have any meaning to it. So let's just get some rest for our players on a short turnaround and hopefully we can get them ready for Orlando. Like
it's probably completely planned. Like no matter
the Natalia
what.
one for sure. Probably the Mal as well. Natalia played all 3 matches, and I'm pretty sure she got full 90s in all of them. Yeah. Or 2 matches, 3 matches. I can't remember how many she played.
I think they played 2.
2. Yeah, she played both matches on the other side of the world. Like that's they were not going to play her for a full 90. It was obvious.
I'm just hoping we can somehow neutralize the midfield of Orlando. I know that's a big ask, but if they can neutralize the midfield, I think that it is going to be an interesting game.
I think you'd really have to get like 100% Allie Schlegel playing that like defensive forward role to really make sure they can't build up the middle and push the ball, have them force the ball to the sides where players like Natalia Kuika or Taylor Malum will be, or Julia Grosso, or it'll either be Carrie or B, who knows? Like I'm still questioning that.
Hannah Anderson.
She's up there during the goal kicks.
This is true.
I would rather them force them to the outside so you don't get the ball to like Angelina or Marta to Banda. Like I'd rather it go outside. That I think Chicago fares better without having their midfield lines broke.
I would like to see potentially Jenna Bike get a start in that game, as well as Shea Groom and Allie Schlegel, for the fact that Jenna likes to draw fouls and get a little bit under people's skin in that regard. And Shea likes to draw fouls and commit fouls, and she would frustrate Marta, I think, and that would be her sole focus. get under Marta's skin, get her off of her game. Allie is also very similar in that regard. She can draw fouls, she can pester people. I think that if you can get them rattled a little bit like that, that could be a winning strategy because I don't know if we're going to light up the scoreboard against them. I doubt it. But if we could get one and we can hold them off and frustrate them, that could be a game changer. But I would like to see, I don't think we're probably going to see Jenna start, but I would love to see at least Allie and Shea out there in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think high energy players is what they need. Obviously, Allie, when she's been healthy, has always been available as the starter. That's a no-doubter. Jenna, beginning of the season, was the starter, kind of fell off of that. She hasn't played. This was the first match she had played in a while. And Shea's really recently been called upon to start in matches. So I think it would be beneficial to have the high energy players against Orlando, especially the ones who are a little bit of pests to other teams, like you mentioned, just maybe even can draw an early yellow from one of their superstars. Like it's a tactic. it's something that can work very well in their benefit. Just to like that really is like a underdog mentality sort of move to play it that way, because you're not going to beat them by brute force. It's not going to happen. And so you gotta think a little outside the box. And I think Chicago is capable of thinking outside the box. It's just whether or not they can execute outside the box. No pun intended.
Or inside the box.
Yeah. No, I don't know what you'd call it. Inverse pun.
Yeah, I just think they're going to have to, if they get an opportunity, they're going to have to convert it in that game. And it could be their day. It could be that their day where something fluky happens and they get it. I remember a few years ago back when we went to Providence Park and we're playing against Portland and everybody wrote us off completely and we shocked the league and won that game. And so I will never count us out of a game. And I think that if the cards fall right,
I mean,
could be.
It could very much be like 2021. They were the bottom team in that playoff, and they fought their way through some pretty good teams to make it to that final.
Look at Gotham last year. They barely squeaked into the playoffs and then won the whole dang thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like anything can happen. But this year, there's been a lot less parity from the top 4 teams down. So,
Yeah.
They're not unbeatable, though.
And I would like to say that I'm pretty sure that I said that Chicago would come in 8th this season. And
I would like to say that I said that it was going to be 5th or 6th, and we were so close to doing what I said, and then we decided to just not.
8th is correct, Liz.
I'm mad because
6th was not correct.
We were so close to getting mine. I was thinking that I'm like, they're going to lose this game because I would be correct if they would win it.
I mean, I have so much confidence in saying this that but I have not even gone back and looked at that clip. I could have said 7th. I have no idea.
I think you said 8th or maybe 7th, 8th, but I know you said 8th, so you're right. You're right.
I just thought expanded playoffs, they'll squeak in. They didn't squeak in. They barely. They almost got out, more so
stumbled and
than
fell
got in.
and own goaled their way into.
They hadn't been. They went this whole season without dipping out of the playoff line. Like 8th is the lowest they've been. This is the lowest they've been all season. They've been anywhere from from 1 to 7. They've been. I missed week. Was it 3 when we were 1? Oh, that's so nice.
Stop the count.
Yeah, that was the mantra then, that's for sure.
But it's been fun.
Yeah, definitely. So Orlando, Friday, 7 p.m. Central. It's gonna be an interesting one. Hopefully they can I want to say win, but maybe they'll maybe it'll draw first and then they'll win on PKs. Like
And Alyssa Nair is going to
Alyssa
kick the
Nair.
game-winning penalty
Yes.
kick, and that's how it's going to
Let's
go.
cap off the Red Stars era with a Alyssa Nair penalty kick.
And she's going to save Marta's PK.
Yes.
All of the things.
All the things. All the headlines will write themselves.
I also think that we should say sorry. I'm sorry, Jules, that the Red Stars let you down. You were wanting to see them play Gotham.
So true.
And that didn't happen. So I'm sorry that didn't happen for you, because that's unfortunate.
Jules could even make that match if they played Gotham. That's probably the biggest. Yeah, if you haven't watched or listened to our last episode, we had Jules on, a very important member of our community, to discuss the entire club's rebrand, the logo, the name, and everything. And so if you haven't had a chance to check that out, you should, because it was a really great episode. But with that, we will wrap things up for this week. And so I just want you to make sure that you subscribe to us on all of the podcast platforms and YouTube. Set your alerts up so you know when our new episodes go up. They are every Tuesday. At least I try to make them Tuesday. If you are watching on YouTube, leave a like. That really helps us out. Make sure that you're following us on all our social media platforms. We'll definitely still be covering this team throughout the off season, and obviously the playoffs as well. Don't forget to join our Discord. It's a great time in there. We'll also be very active in the Discord throughout the off season. Even not talking about the Red Stars, there's so many other channels in there to talk about all the different sports that we have going on. And with that, we'll just, see you next week for another Red Stars report. Hopefully it's a win and we get to do this more.
Playoffs.